Hey guys, thanks for coming back to More Heart Fitness. This is going to be episode 2. Today we're going to kind of talk about tracking and eating your food, kind of starting a food log. Last episode we were talking about your why, which I believe is the most important thing. Without your why, there's no point even going. You're just never going to have that emotional tie to something that is so important to you that keeps you going. So a lot of people will be like, yeah, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to get fit. It's not tied to something super personal, like how it makes you feel when you look in the mirror, or a health reason, or something far beyond like a goal. So you need the why, number one. That's the very first thing that you need to do. And then I also talked about the consistency, the discipline, and showing up, the plan, the why, the discipline, the commitment. Put all those three in a triangle and you can absolutely crush everything that you have set out for yourself. So that's kind of like a little review. You can watch the first episode if you didn't watch it. It's my very first video. So everything on here is going to be unedited. So all the all the things that happen, I haven't figured out all the editing things. So I feel like it's just going to be me for me. No pretending. So we're going to get into it. The first thing I'm going to do, as I told you in the first video, I like to always hit those rear delts for my posture and for shoulder stability. So I'm going to do some body weight ring rows. We're going to get into a couple rear delt exercises at the beginning. And then I'm going to get into the sumo deadlift, which is something that I just recently started doing. Shout out to Kevin Novak. He's one of my good buddies, and I've seen a bunch of videos of him sumo deadlifting, and he's ridiculously strong. So I wanted to try it out, get back into it. We used to work together, many years ago, back at Good Life Fitness. I'm actually trying to get him to come on to one of these episodes and just talk about clients and him working in a gym and his life and his lifts and everything that he does. I think it'd be really cool. He'll be the first guest, I guess, on this channel. Whew. Oh, those things they burn. So excuse me as I write stuff down. Like we were talking about, tracking. Tracking is the most important thing. All right. So if you don't track anything, you can't change anything. If you don't know what you're doing or where you are or where you've been, you just get lost, So tracking, super important. You need to track out your workouts. You need to track your food. Even if this is the beginning part, which is episode 2, so it's not going to get too in depth into macros and calories and all those things, but this whole basis is just of tracking things that you're doing over time so that you can kind of figure out where you are. And then from there, you can build a plan of where you want to get to. Okay, so very first thing I like to do with my clients when they start with me is start a food log. So the food log is, to me, the most important thing in the world because, once again, if you don't track it, you don't know it. And you'll start to see, as you're tracking, you'll notice little things that happen in your life which might draw you to, not the best foods or high calorie foods or just eating and drinking, in excess. And at the end of the day, that's what happens. It's all the excess. The calorie surplus gains weight. The deficit, lack thereof, will make you lose weight. It's like the laws of thermodynamics. But you need to start somewhere to track it. So, day 1, I get them to manually write a log on their phone, in a book, an app, wherever they want. Everybody has their own specific things. I personally will write it in a book. I'm old school. I like paper. Technology isn't the best for me, but I'm kind of working on it. As you can see, I'm tracking my stuff on the computer right now because I'm using my phone, so I can't. So kind of trying to step away from that. But yeah, the food log. All this entails is nothing crazy. It's literally step one. Baby steps, right? When you start, got your why, right? And you got the commitment, the discipline, the triangle. Okay, cool. Now we're gonna start working out. For people that are just new to the space, I like to start them off with 2 times a week and a food log. So 2 times a week, full body, hit every muscle twice. And then the food log, which is the biggest key, most important thing, for 3 months. 90 days of tracking. The least amount of weight anybody has lost is 7 pounds in that 3 months. They didn't diet, they didn't change anything. They just wrote down what they ate. So it's not intense. It's very easy. There's lots of apps for it. And there's lots of apps that have the calories and macros, but you would just ignore that at the beginning, okay? So you're just gonna write down what you ate for breakfast. What did you have for dinner? What did you have for a snack? What did you drink? Milk, juice. Water is calorie free, but you can still write down because it's good to have like 2 liters of water, I would say, for everybody. Everybody drinks differently. Some people only drink Coke all day long. I don't understand, but hey, they're still kicking, so who am I to judge? So the big important thing, you're tracking everything that you put in your mouth. Bowl of cereal for breakfast, a turkey sandwich for lunch, and McDonald's Big Mac meal for dinner, and then I had a bowl of ice cream before bed. Okay, so that's kind of essentially the beginning. So that would kind of be what a day looks like. So then the next step from into there is you're now going to write down, why are you eating it? So like, why did you have the bowl of cereal this morning? Were you hungry? Were you stressed out? Bored? Any of the things, you know, any feelings, any things that are happening in life. It's just trying to see what happens over time. And with most people, you'll end up finding a pattern that you'll tend to eat at certain times of day, or when certain things happen, or something happens at work, or a fight with your wife or your kids, or uneasiness, anxiety, boredom, so many different things. But you don't really know because you just kind of do it every day. So it's just normal for you. And this is how you start developing your habits. Actually breaking them. You just kind of find out what your habits are. So for me, I'm a boredom eater. I get bored, I'll go stand in that pantry for 5-10 minutes and then go to the fridge and go back and just start grabbing everything, shoving it down, you know. Some people stress eat. Some people have past trauma. They've coped with food when things get uneasy. That's like, to me, one of the important factor of the food log. It does not matter what you eat. I don't care. You can literally eat anything you want all day long. It's not about that. It's just about starting somewhere. It's about tracking what you're eating, just so you can see. So that when you tell me that you eat healthy, and this happens all the time with many, many clients, that, well, I ate this way and I ate that way and blah, 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 blah. And then you find out when they write down, isn't actually the whole story, right? It's like, oh yeah, no, I had 1,200 calories today, which is really low, but, and then you actually go back and you find out like, well, that was actually 2,500 calories. So it's just the building block of starting to understand why you're eating it and why. If you tie that feeling and connection to the food, you can kind of break the habit if there is one. You know, sometimes it's just you don't move enough and you eat too much. Sometimes is you just eat a lot of crap when you're stressed out and not move enough. All the things that we can figure out from that food log, but like I said earlier, 7 pounds is the least amount anybody's lost. Least amount anybody's lost in 3 months of actually doing it. And everybody loves it once they do it. They think it's kind of stupid, really, when I tell them that I just want them to track what their food is. But I don't really care what they're eating, so I'm not asking how many grams of cereal did you eat this morning, you know? So it gets redundant, but they actually do it and they start to feel a little better. And what this really does, once you start to understand what you're eating, is you also start coaching yourself and you start becoming more aware of why you're eating certain foods. And at the end of the day, you just kind of start policing yourself, because I'm not with you. I'm not there. So that's really what happens at the end of that experiment. Those 3 months is they coach themselves, they police themselves, they be like, oh, do I need that? No, I don't need it because I have to write it down. I have to show my trainer. And all those times of not eating that snack every maybe second or third time they think about it adds up to those calories, right? Just less calories, less calories, less calories, you know? And they start feeling better mentally, emotionally, maybe physically in their bodies, their hair, their skin. And that's kind of what gets that thing going. And making them feel good about themselves, confident, gives you a little bit of power back that food doesn't control you. You control when you want to eat. You won't die if you don't eat. I fast for 3 or 4 days at a time and I'm still alive. And for me, it's because of the control food really does have on me, because I know if I can't just eat one. It's like that Lay's chip commercial, but you can't eat just one. That's kind of what food is for me, especially processed food that tastes delicious, obviously, but it's to break the mold and to take control back of, like, I choose what goes in here. What's important to me, I choose it. So got your food log, you figure all that out. 3 months. You also got those 2 times a week working out, so you're also now developing really good habits through training, resistance training, and just monitoring your food. That in itself is the basis of everything. Like, if there's 2 things that you needed to do and learn out of your whole process and journey, however long that takes. Like I said, I've been doing this for a long time, and I feel like I could be in this shape right now in 3 years instead of the 27. But the most important thing is, the food and then the resistance training to build that muscle, right? So I've changed the gym around a little bit, and it seems like I've got to shift some stuff because things get bundled up here. So I'm gonna move some stuff. But anyways, back on track is you can't outwork a bad diet. And I tried it for so long in my life and be like, oh, I'm working out and I need the calories and to build the muscle and get stronger, and I'm just gonna lift super heavy and all the things like that. And I did get really strong. I did get really big, wider, thicker, stronger, but it wasn't the look that I wanted. I wanted to be more lean, be able to see some things instead of just being a big mass block. And that comes with the calories. Now what I would have learned, if I would have realized what my maintenance calories were, I would have only added a couple hundred extra a day. So I slowly would have built weight over time, but most of that probably would have been muscle if I would have increased 200 calories a day. Probably in a month and a half, I could gain a pound or a half pound of muscle, as long as I was pushing to that stimulus, right? And the stimulus that I like to teach and get people to realize is you want to take that muscle close to fatigue. You don't want to train it to failure all the time. What you can, I don't recommend it, because then you're just going to feel like ass all day and be super sore. And that's not how you should feel. A lot of people crave that not being able to walk or move the next day, and that just means you really, really overdid it. But what I like to train is having 1 or 2 reps in reserve, which means you could do 1 or 2 more with good form, and you have that left in the tank. and it gives you that maximum output with your muscles, but they can also recover and recuperate. And you can do this with any weight, so it doesn't necessarily mean you have to go super heavy, because say if I was to do this, which is 225, maybe I'm gonna, like right now I'm gonna shoot for 6. If I can do more, I will. It's been a while, so we'll find that out. But if I can do 6, then my 1 to 2 reps in reserve is probably going to be, obviously 4, 5, 6 being the max. But that's what's going to get you that stimulation, and it could be at any weight. So if this was 300 and some, maybe 315, maybe my 1 rep in reserve is I can only do 2. Right? And if maybe this is 100 pounds, my 1 or 2 reps in reserve, maybe I'm doing 20, 25 reps before I get there. But they're all the same stimulus of taking that muscle to that same place. So yes, weight is a factor if you're wanting to get stronger, but for building muscle, to me, I think it's just hitting that stimulus, which has been working really good. So I wanted to teach that off to you guys. So this is a sumo deadlift. This is fairly new. I just, gave a shout out to Kevin Novak earlier about how he was doing this, so I was going to get back into them. A little different than your conventional deadlift. You're way wider and more pigeon-toed out. This is good for me because I can be way more upright instead of being way bent over. I also have really long legs and long arms, so for me, some people will call it cheating because there's a less range of motion, but there's a conventional deadlift and there's also sumo deadlift, so they are both allowed in that competition world. Obviously, you're probably going to be able to generate more power and strength in a wider stance and the less range of motion, but that also goes into the anatomy of your body as well. The conventional deadlifts for me is just a very long, awkward way of going way down, and it just puts so much stress on my back even when I'm braced properly. So I've kind of got back into here, and you'll be able to see the difference of just that movement arm. So I like to set up over midfoot, get those hips driving nice and forward, close to that bar, grip in between the legs here, shoulder width apart, set those lats. Okay, so I lied. 10. I feel like I could have did 12, so I stopped at 10. Pretty sure that was 10. It's hard to focus and think in the camera and go from there, but I'm gonna go 10. Pretty sure that's what I did. So as you can see, the sumo does give smaller range of motion. For me, I would say hits more glutes for myself, whereas if I do a conventional, feel like it's more quad for me. Just do one here, just based on my body anatomy. Yeah. To me, I feel like it's way more quad, whereas in the sumo, I feel way more glutes and adductors. Conventional deadlift, definitely way more squatty for me. Holy, yeah. Well, what else can we talk about? I'm gonna catch my breath. That stuff's hard. So back to the tracking. Now I can track this 225, 10 reps. I'm gonna do 3 sets. And that way, if I decline, start fatiguing, I have that tracked. If I do sit and I do hit 3 sets of 10, for me, that's like my max. I never wanna go over 10 for anything. Kind of turns into cardio, especially when you start getting heavy. So if I hit 3 sets of 10, next week I would probably throw on 5 or 10 pounds, start over. I like to work in that 6 to 10 rep range. So that's another reason why progress is important. With the tracking, you can take the little baby steps to get to where you want. And once you get there, the best part is you don't have to work as hard to maintain that muscle as you do to build it. So once you get to that body that you're looking for, or that strength, or that look, it's a lot less effort to keep it than it was to gain it. You might only have to stimulate it 1 time a week at like 70% of your max, which is a really cool thing about the body, is that it does have, what do they say, muscle memory, little muscle satellites that come back if you've been away for a while. You know, they say it's roughly, a third of the time that you took off is how long it'll take to get it back. So if you took a year off, it would roughly take you 4 months, if that's right math, to kind of get back to where you were, what you were doing. Now, I find that to be very accurate, very true, because I've taken some time off. But it's also really cool that, yes, if you don't use it, you lose it. But once you start getting back into it, it starts coming back really quick, which is really good for the confidence when you're coming back from a break and you feel like crap because maybe it's the holidays and, you ended up taking a week or 2 off, and then that turned into 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, 6, and so you get back in, dragging your ass, hating life because you go to do something and you can't even do 1 rep of what you used to do. So you drop the weight down, you feel ridiculous, but that's part of it, At least you can get back to where you are. You just keep grinding. Okay, here we go. Let's go round 2. Sumo deadlift, 225. Kevin says I need to shoot my hips a little more forward, so maybe he'll watch this and give me some pointers. I'd really love to have him on here, so I'm going to keep saying his name, get him to watch it so that he'll volunteer his time and come hang out, and we'll have a new set of eyes and a new voice, and he's pretty good looking too, so I'm sure the ladies will like that. Oh. Yeah, okay, pretty sure that was 10. Oh, as you can see, a little different from the last video. Got some turf. So let's see if I can get everything in here. So now I have turf, so we can do some sled pulls and a bunch of plyo. Got the cardio equipment here. And then we got like a little man cave over there that I'm building, little office / man cave. The boys can hang out there and they have friends over, and gives them a place to hide. Oh. Let's readjust this because I'm excited. So I train, a lot of young athletes, so they now have a way bigger space and way cooler space. And if my wife lets me, I'd love to throw a shooting alley up in here and drop some nets so we can play lacrosse down here. It'd be pretty awesome. So that's a new addition to More Heart Fitness. Very exciting. It was donated actually by the field house out in Alderside, Okotoks area. So shout out to them. Appreciate you guys. They got new turf out there in their fields, and they let me come pick some up for, so they're a great support to More Heart Fitness. So shout out, kind people out there. Help change the world one person at a time. So that was awesome for me, a little bit of karma, helping people. Someone helps you back. And then I get to share it with the world, or, clients at least, friends, family. Okay, so that last one was probably more 1 rep in reserve, so I was getting close to maybe not being able to do another one with proper form. So we'll see what happens here on this 3rd set. And after that, it's going to be pull-ups and a bunch of core. We'll probably shut the video off after a set or 2 of pull-ups. Talk about the pull-ups after, and then probably end it there. But here we go, round 3. Let's see what a wider base even does. Trial and error, practicing it out. Like I said, I'll get somebody to have a look at these videos. The best thing is if you can record yourself when you're alone and have a trainer or somebody looking at it to see if you're doing it safely and correctly, is priceless. And it also builds your confidence and lets you you don't get to see yourself. Even if you look at the mirror, you don't really get to see yourself ever. So having that recording, you can maybe see if you're shifting to the sides or arching your back, or maybe not fully breathing in the belly. So recording is another valuable tool, along with tracking those tracking the food log, guys. Seriously, if you're starting, it's so important. I'm telling you, you'll waste so much time trying to outwork your bad diet, or just not even maybe it's not even a bad diet, or just not understanding what you're putting in your body. Because you could be eating really healthy, great whole foods, but still eating too much of it. It's not always bad food, right? If you're eating salads and chicken breasts and all these super awesome whole foods, but your body maintenance is, say, 1,800 calories, but you're eating 2,300 calories a day of that, you're going to gain weight, obviously. So it could just be more of understanding how much you're eating, when you're eating. Or maybe it's the snacks at the end of the night that push you over. Maybe it's the ice cream or whatever. Like, number one thing is food. I always never believed it. I've always heard it, but it is 100% true. Abs are made in the kitchen. You need to be at a lean enough body mass, body fat, to be able to see all the muscles, especially in the stomach, because it already has kind of like a layer to protect the internal organs as well as the abs and everything, right? So this really has to be, I'll probably say for men is probably 18% to start seeing them, depending on how tall and long you are in your torso. And then women tend to carry a little more body fat because of the babies and all the women's stuff. And for them, it's probably more like 15 and lower. You can also grow the abs too and weight train them, like cable crunches and adding weight and resistance training, growing them just like any other muscle to make them bigger so they could protrude out a little bit. I think that's kind of like what I always did before I really dialed into the into the food. So it kind of looked like I had like a turtle shell belly, but they were there. But now that I'm down to 15% body fat, you can see them a little more. So all right, let's get this last one done and move on to the pull-ups. Whew. Okay, I think that was 10. Either way, that was very tough. And, whew, yeah. So, next week, probably slap a 5 on each side. Go to 235. See how the body's feeling after that. So, summing everything up for today is from the first episode, the why, and then our triangle, which is the discipline, the commitment, the why all together. And then the next step, 2 times a week, full body. It's kind of what I'm doing now. I do 3 times a week. To me, that's the perfect way for my body. Then you just incorporate that food log just to start to understand when and why you eat. And it's not to, get judged upon. It's just to make yourself aware, right? To recap it all. Awareness, awareness, awareness. That is so important, to just be aware of how you're feeling your body, as well as working out. I think the word is proprioception. Could be saying that wrong, but like your awareness of where you are in space and how your body moves in space goes just the same as what you're putting in your mouth. You be mindful of what you're doing. You connect to the muscles. You connect to that workout, that exercise. Connect to the food. Connect your mind to everything, and you'll conquer anything. Just one step at a time, and do what you can do with what you can. You can do it longer than 3 months. That's just what I recommend. You can do it forever. Eventually, I'll take it to that next step where you're counting calories and proteins and macros, combine them all together, and then you're a superstar. But honestly, you just gotta take the little baby steps at a time, because you bite off more than you can chew, and 9 times out of 10 people will quit. Especially when it gets hard. The very first thing they're gonna do is they're gonna throw their why out the window. They're gonna lose their motivation, and they're gonna quit. Or they're going to start realizing that they start eating more and more stuff that they have to write down, and they're gonna stop the food log, continue working out, and nothing will change, and they'll end up gaining weight. Hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully you just continue, and it's just a blip in time. What you eat this week has no effect on you from a year from now. Now, if you eat crappily for a week, for 52 weeks, oh yeah, you're probably gonna gain some weight and not feel very good, but don't let a one day or a one-off day or a week off affect you mentally. Just get back in there, get back on the horse. It's a very, very slow process. I know that we live in the world of fast food and high-speed internet and same-day deliveries. That's not how your body works. So you gotta put in the time, you gotta put in the love, the effort, the work, and it'll pay off, and you'll be thankful for every part of it. You just gotta start, that's it. And I'm here to help. You can reach out to me through the YouTube channel, Instagram, my website. However you want. You're not alone. And hopefully I can build a community to help everybody, more and more people, where more and more people are kind of following the basics, because I think at the end of the day, that's all it is. There's no secrets. There's no, there's no get fit in 30 days. There's no secret pills. It's literally holding yourself accountable and being aware of what you do every day. And once you have control of that, you can control everything. And that's kind of what I try to teach my clients and other people who ask for help, because it is you at the end of the day. I can't make you work out. I can't make you eat food. I can't do anything. I can't make you feel like you are in control. And if you've lost it, get it back. Test yourself. Start with 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Make it a goal. Eventually it turns into a habit. And once you have that habit, you're set. And it just becomes natural, easy, and eventually you just get into the point with the food anyways, is that it gets intuitive. And you kind of know what you need to eat and how much of it, because you've been doing it for so long that you don't have to track anymore. And you can maintain this perfect body or your image or whatever your goal is. If you've attained it, it becomes so much more natural. And along that journey, you'll realize, or at least I have in my personal journey, is I ate way, way too much food. There's no reason to be eating that much food. Even if I was trying to get stronger in bulk, you don't need to be in excess of 1,000, 1,500 calories a day. But to each their own. This is that journey that I had to figure out myself. I'm just passing on some messages. It's enough of me preaching and telling you guys what to do after I've just told you that you're in control and do what you want. The next thing we're going to do is some pull-ups. This is probably going to be where the video ends after a little kind of tutorial here. It's going to be Christmas tomorrow, so I got to make some cookies and gingerbread houses and hang out with the kids and watch Polar Express. So we're going to get to it here. So the pull-up. The big key for a pull-up is the scap up. So what that means is keeping here nice and long and driving those shoulder blades down. As you can see, I'm lifting myself up. So like my head's in the turtle shell right now. Now it's out. Okay, so if you're to reach all the way up in the sky as high as you can and then bring those shoulder blades down. So it's like the opposite of a shrug where you're shrugging up and then going down. It's technically shrugging up and going down, but your hands are overhead. Okay, that's the initial movement of your pull-up, or your lat pull down is scaps retract. Then you start pulling, and then up, and then up. It turns into one fluid motion, obviously, so you put them together. And so it's scap, and then pull. Okay, that's it if you were just to go 1, 2. But then you get that nice fluid motion. Oh, there you go. I think that was 12. And you start building up the reps over time. What I like to do with my clients is, even if we were to just hang here, get them to jump a little bit. If that doesn't work, you can just hang from the bar. We put the bar across here and just getting them to just kind of go on their tippy toes and pull up, or using the bar just floating up, down, pull. Okay, just to get those scaps going. Then there's lots of options you can do. You can do like the pull-up machine at your gym. You can use bands, or you can hook a band up. Say a band up here, and put your foot in, or both feet, to help yourself come up. But one that we found, a client of mine and I figured out, is we use like the weight belt, and this is how he learned. We tie it across, and we now can set, just like kind of like the one at the gym. I don't have that machine, but now I can set it across the cables, and I can adjust the weight to help him up. And this kind of seems to be everybody's favorite now that we figured this out over the band. I've had 3 clients now get their first pull-ups through that method. So it seems to be the best way so far, at least in my space. And then as you progress, you can add weight to your body, or a vest, or a chain, anything like that. And same kind of rep ranges. I like to get into the 6 to 10, and I like to add some weight to get those explosive ones, to eventually be able to do a muscle up, which I think I could do, but I don't think I have the space up there. I don't want to smoke myself in the head. So body weights for now are good, and just work in a rep range that you can. You might not be able to do 2, 3, 4, 5, but if you can get 1, and if you're at 1 and you can just come up, do 1, I'd recommend taking a break. Wait 30 seconds, count to 20, 30, whatever, and then come and do another one, and work your way through singles. And over time, try to do 2 sets of 2, sets of 2, sets of 3. It's a very, very hard movement. Not very many people can get to that level. If you can, good on you. I think I read something like 5% of the world's population can do a pull-up, which you have to keep in consideration. It's the whole world. Some people don't even work out. I don't know what the percentage of people who work out are, but just doing a pull-up in itself is just a really cool full body workout, because you need to keep your core braced, your legs engaged, glutes being in a nice strong hollow hold, which is, if you see, is more like this. And it just kind of connects everything through the system to generate the most power. If you want to do a kipping pull-up, you can do that. I don't care. If you want to use momentum to get yourself up there, go for it. I know you see that in CrossFit all the time, where they can rock out like 100, which is absolutely insane. To me, it's really hard on my joints to do a kipping pull-up, which is kind of like shooting your hips forward. Yeah, now I can really float up there and probably do a whole bunch, but it just seems really hard on my shoulders, so I choose not to do it. To each their own. Thank you for tuning in today. Hopefully I got to teach you a little bit about how important the food log is. I promise you, if you start it, do it for 3 months, you're going to love it, and we can move on to the next phase. Starting 2 times a week is perfect for anybody. I have lots of clients who do it who have amazing results. You do 3 or 4, obviously more work, but you need more time. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in. See you for episode 3.